let's get into this. Okay, so it sounds like racially ambiguous, gender confused Vin Diesel by Naughty Dog needs to be released soon, so that way Sony can get off their backs, because they're now ordering overtime. All right, over here on IGN. I think this was originally a Bloomberg article, but I tried Bloomberg and they had a whole bunch of pop-up ads and stuff like that and wanted me to pay, and I'm not doing that. So Naughty Dog devs are reportedly working mandatory overtime for Intergalactic: The Heretic Prophet. The game doesn't have a release date. Yeah, because your last game was, what, 5 or 6 years ago? So Naughty Dog is allegedly requiring most of its developers to work, developers working on Intergalactic: The Heretic Prophet, which is the worst freaking name. I just don't like this name. I just don't like the name. The Heretic Prophet. It's like, that's okay. To work a minimum of 8 hours, 8 extra hours per week. Are you working a minimum of 8 extra hours? Dude, it used to be mandatory that I had to work 10 to 15. Sometimes at its most, I was working 30 extra hours of overtime a week. Those were rough weeks, man. I'm telling you right now, 70-hour weeks hurt. Like 8 extra hours a week. An effort to meet a deadline for an internal demo that will be reviewed by Sony. This isn't even for the game. This is just they don't even have a demo for this yet. It's been 7 years or 5 years. Sorry, 5 years. And it's going to be 7 or 8 before this thing is released. It's been 5 years since The Last of Us Part 2. This is according to a Bloomberg report, which claims that beginning in late October, Intergalactic developers have been required to work at least 8 hours a week, though not more than 60 total per week. Okay, so if you're 40 hours a week, so basically they're like, you need to work at least 8, but we don't want you going over 60. And log their time in an internal spreadsheet. Interesting. I wonder if that's because of contracts, negotiations, and things like that. And I don't think these guys are hourly. A lot of these guys I think are hourly. Those developers have also been asked to work from the office 5 days per week, where previously the requirement had only been 3 days. See, this is the problem. This is why game development's taking so long, because everybody wants to work from home and fuck off and not actually do their jobs. If you want to know why game development went from us getting a game every like 2 to 3 years to now it's like over a decade, it's because people are fucking off at their home and they're not wanting to do actual work. Okay, with up to 2 days of work from home, this caused some to have to scramble to find childcare and pet care arrangements that were previously not needed. Prior to the government shutting everybody down over the China flu, like, yeah, this was normal. People had to do this. This is what was normal in the economy beforehand. The mandatory overtime is in service of finishing an internal demo. This is sad. This is sad. In time for review by Sony after said demo missed multiple deadlines. Intergalactic Heretic Prophet does not currently have a public release date window set, but Bloomberg reports suggest it's targeting for mid-2027. Okay, the report concludes mandatory overtime. Sorry, I'm going to stop highlighting because it's getting really hard with my left hand. This is why I need to get a different mouse. The report concludes that the mandated overtime ended this week, and Naughty Dog will return to just 3 days a week mandated in the office through the end of January, with more detailed schedule to come. Naughty Dog has been notorious for crunch over the years. I love that they call this crunch, dude. This just used to be normal work stuff. When you need to get the job done, you work more hours to get the job done. It's not that hard. I mean, I'm sorry. I come from a blue-collar background, and, dude, overtime is just a thing. Like, when people told me, oh, my company, whoa, they would never let us get overtime, I'm sitting here going, I've almost never worked jobs that didn't require overtime because we have to get the job done. So crunch over the years on series such as Uncharted and The Last of Us, with the studio even openly hiring for individuals who would be willing to crunch I hate the word crunch. It's so crunch means I don't know. I look at crunch as you put something in between two other things and it crunches. So basically, we're not going to let you work overtime and get paid more, but you need to get more work done in the same amount of time. That's what I would view as crunch. This is like, hey, we've got a deadline to meet. Well, so I guess in that we've got to meet the deadline. So maybe crunch works here. I don't know. This is just. Crunch has never sat well with me. It's just some white collar developer word because people have never actually worked a real job. In 2021, studio co-president Evan Wells and Neil Druckmann addressed the issue in an interview with Game Informer, saying that while they wanted to prevent burnout, they didn't want to impose a one-size-fits-all restriction on employees' passion and creativity. That's the whole point of working for a company. I work for this company. That's your one size fits all. They have a way that they work. You can like it or hate it, but oh my God, gee, what? So we don't want to have a structure to get our games done. Maybe that's why Sony is like, hey, why don't you have us a demo yet? It's been 5 years and they don't even have an internal demo. Think about that. We used to get games in 3 years. This is ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous. The same year, the studio hired a number of producers specifically tasked with alleviating workload. However, many of those producers have reportedly since left the company, and some employees have apparently already worked long hours to finish Intergalactic's first trailer, which debuted at the Game Awards last year. Oh, just cry me a river, please. Druckmann has referred to Intergalactic as the most ambitious, expansive, and expensive game. Oh, this is why, that right there. Expensive game. That means that we wasted a lot of money. It should be your most ambitious, expansive, and cost-saving game that we have ever... If that said cost-saving there, where we actually found ways to produce this game without spending a boatload of money, guarantee this would be a very different story, right? But no, expensive. Yeah, you're wasting Sony's money, okay? Game Naughty Dog has ever made. What can I say and not say? I can tell you we're in the thick of it, making it. We're playing it, and we're firing on all cylinders. No, you're not firing on all cylinders. You obviously have dead weight in the company because you said earlier in this article, you missed multiple freaking deadlines. Like, dude, Neil Druckmann, the more I learn about Neil Druckmann, the more I just don't like him. Just as an individual. He just comes across as this pompous artiste, especially, and he's always kind of been that way, but back in the day, he actually had, who was that guy that used to keep Neil Druckmann in check? Oh, God, and when he left Naughty Dog and Neil Druckmann just got the wheels to everything, it all started going downhill from there. What I just find so funny about this is... You have a prolific studio like Naughty Dog, and I will say prolific because they've put out some absolutely fantastic games. I played the entire Uncharted series, thought it was good. The first Last of Us, very good. Obviously, you go back, it was Banjo-Kazooie. Naughty Dog has been known in the gaming world for a long time, putting out really, really, really good quality stuff, fun characters, good storytelling, save Last of Us Part 2. That I hate that game. The storytelling in that game is horrible. The characters in that game are horrible. But moving on from that, because I could rant on that for a long time. Now, Sony is sitting here going, why are you missing deadlines? And Druckmann's out here saying, it's our most expensive game yet. You think Sony likes hearing it's the most expensive game yet? Especially when it comes out that a game of the year and an awards winner that completely swept the Game Awards was less than $10 million? Do you think that companies now, with seeing Hollow Knight Silksong, what was it? Hades 2 was an indie project. Expedition 33 was an indie project, are coming in and absolutely eviscerating competition that's spending tenfold more than they are. Do you think these AAA companies are going to be happy going, why in the world, if we know gamers don't care about your $500 million to spend on it, they just want a game that looks pretty okay-ish and plays the good? Why would we spend $500 million? And Druckmann's out here saying, it's our most expensive game yet, while they're missing deadlines? Dude, Sony is pissed right now. Guaranteed. They're wondering, what the hell? Why can't you get the job done that we told you to get done? What is going on? What are your teams doing? You're like, well, we really don't want to have them come back into the office. Why? So you can actually, walk around the office and say, hey, why are you screwing around on Twitter when you should be developing my game for me right now? I promise you, most of the people working from home are not, in fact, working diligently on their work. You know how I know this? Because they said here people had to find childcare and they had to find pet care and things like that. They had to. So what does that say? That says that while they were on the clock at their houses, supposedly working from home, they were in fact taking care of other responsibilities in their daily life, basically making money at home to not do their jobs. It's right here in the article. It's right here in the article. This idea that it's going to take hundreds of millions of dollars and twice the time that quadruple the money it used to take and twice the time it used to take to get a game out. And that's just acceptable? No, that's not acceptable. That's never been acceptable. And for some reason, the modern game developers today, save the smaller guys who are actually putting out bangers, who are actually doing a good job. But a lot of these guys that get hit with this are like, oh, woe is me. You mean I have to go to work today? Yes. Well, that's just not fair. Do you not understand that I have all of these things in my... Yeah, everybody else does. And you know what's weird is most of the people who work in the economy figure out how to manage all that stuff. But for some reason, game developers are such lily-livered workers that they don't know how to actually handle any sort of hardship in their life at all. Like, I don't know, figure out if your mom can watch your kids today. Call somebody and say, hey, work this out. Plan. Like, you can't even plan your daily life enough to find childcare for your kids, and yet you're supposed to be talented enough to meet deadlines and supposedly be the super talented person in your job. Like, that's insane. That's absolutely insane to me. They can't even manage their own home lives, and yet they're these super talented developers that are firing on all cylinders, that are missing deadlines and bitching about going back into the office. Come on. We have to work 8 extra hours a week. 8 extra hours a week? Are you fucking kidding me? 8 extra hours a week, dude. Like that, I'm sorry, again, coming from an industry where I used to have to work 10, 15, 20, 30 extra hours a week, and that's just what we do. That's just how the job is. Like, I do not feel, and again, just Neil Druckmann with, this is our most expensive game ever. Yeah, I wonder why Sony is telling you to mandate overtime and stop the shenanigans, because you guys obviously haven't been doing what you need to do. Obviously. It's unbelievable to me that these dev times have gotten to where they are, and nobody will just look at these people and say, look, sack up and do the job. You wanted the job and you're not doing it. It's what I said in, I just dropped a video about talking about Microsoft today from the last live stream. And it was like a lot of these studios, what they need to do is they need to go back, they need to find all their talented people, hire back the people who were talented that made some of their greatest games of all time, bring them in, give them some sort of tenure with a good salary, cut a lot of the fat, and then let these guys who know how to make good games run the ship. Guess what? Working conditions are going to change because these guys are probably going to say, look, you have until this date to get this done, or I'm going to get rid of you and find somebody else who can. And I think that's the problem with a lot of these game developers is they're not actually afraid to lose their jobs. They're not. And I think they need to be, because how many reports have we heard from game developers, from AAA companies that are not getting the job done? And it's because of stuff like this. You don't go to a place of employment and then say, oh, but you, like, I need your money to survive, but you have to work around my life. That's not how it works. There is sacrifice involved working for a company. And anymore, it seems like people are like, well, I just don't want to work there because I don't want to sacrifice. And you know how I know this? Because I've met so many people in my life who, when I was like, hey, I know construction jobs that are hiring, no experience needed, hiring dudes off the street for $20 an hour, and people going, oh my gosh, that's amazing. And their next follow-up question, will they work around my school schedule? No, I don't have a car. You know, is that going to be a problem for them? Yes. They're like, oh, do I have to pass a drug test? Oh, fuck. Like, just, yeah, you do. Like, work is supposed to be a sacrificial thing that we do in order to gain money, in order to gain the things that we need to do to live. And I'm so sick of hearing year after year, month after month, week after week, that these game developers just think that they don't need to sacrifice for what they're doing. You know, if you listen to a lot of the longer interviews with Sandfall Interactive, the guys that did Expedition 33, guess what? They sacrificed. They worked. And they just won Game of the Year. And they're big happy. Everybody applause. Everyone, you know, except for the people who are super mad online that they won all the awards. But come on. You know what? Good for Sony for being pissed off. I don't side with corporations very often because I think they're evil. But you know what? Sony is correct here. These people are wasting Sony's money. They're wasting their time. They're effectively committing theft if they're working from home and they're not actually doing their jobs. And you know what? Good for Sony to say, it's been 5 years and you don't have a demo for us. Why? Why don't you have a demo for us? What say you, chat?